Let me ask you something today. Do you ever end your day exhausted? Like you've been running at full speed, only to realize you didn't actually get anything meaningful done. You checked your emails, sat through a handful of meetings, replied to a bunch of messages, maybe even crossed a few things off your to-do list. But still something feels off. That's because in today's world, we've been taught to associate being constantly busy with being productive. We glorify packed schedules, hustle culture, and multitasking as signs of success. But here's the truth. Being busy is not the same as being productive. In fact, it's often the opposite. Busyness can feel like progress, but in reality, it's just motion without direction. It's easy to fill our days with activity, yet accomplish very little of real value. In this video, we're going to break that cycle. We'll explore what true productivity looks like, why it's not about doing more, but about doing what matters, and how you can stop wasting time on the wrong things. The goal is simple: to help you move from being a busy reactor to becoming an intentional performer. Because when you align your time with your priorities, everything changes. Let's dive in. Number 1. The busy trap. Busyness has become the modern badge of honor. When someone asks how we're doing, busy has practically become a reflexive answer, often delivered with a tired smile and a tone of worn-out pride. But what exactly is busyness? It's not the same as productivity. Busyness is activity for activity's sake, a relentless flurry of tasks that gives the illusion of progress without necessarily bringing us closer to meaningful outcomes. It disguises itself well, wearing the mask of hard work, commitment, and ambition. But beneath that surface lies a deeper issue. Busyness is often reactive, not intentional. It's driven by urgency, not importance, and that's where the trap lies. So why do we fall into it so easily? For many, busyness is a form of validation. We equate being constantly in motion with being valuable. If our calendars are packed and our inbox is overflowing, we must be doing something right. There's also the fear of stillness. In a world obsessed with achievement and status, slowing down can feel like falling behind. Stillness forces us to confront ourselves, our priorities, and the uncomfortable reality that we might be spending our time on things that don't actually matter. Then there's the lack of clarity. Without a clear sense of what's truly important, it's easy to default to whatever task is loudest or most urgent. Instead of acting with purpose, we respond to notifications, emails, and demands that hijack our attention. Our culture doesn't help either. We celebrate hustle culture, glorifying long hours, minimal sleep, and grinding as the ultimate path to success. Social media is filled with stories of people waking up at 4 a.m., juggling multiple projects, and seemingly thriving in the chaos. But what we rarely see are the consequences: burnout, disengagement, and a creeping sense of emptiness, despite the constant motion. We've been taught that being productive means filling every hour, responding to every message, and staying perpetually on. But in reality, those who are truly effective know that this is a trap. Think about it. How often have you spent your entire day bouncing between meetings, answering emails, updating task lists, and feeling like you're constantly putting out fires, only to look back and wonder what you actually achieved? These are the signs of busyness, not productivity. Meetings without outcomes, multitasking that fragments focus, and inbox management that becomes a full-time job. These are the subtle ways we fill time without moving forward. Multitasking, in particular, is one of the greatest thieves of effectiveness. Our brains aren't designed to split focus. Every time we switch between tasks, we lose momentum and dilute our mental energy. What feels like efficiency is actually mental whiplash. Even some of the world's most accomplished people have had to learn this the hard way. Consider Warren Buffett, one of the most successful investors in history. He once said, "The difference between successful people and very successful people is that very successful people say no to almost everything." That's a powerful lesson. Productivity isn't about doing more. It's about doing less, better. Bill Gates also echoes this in his approach to time management, famously carving out think weeks, where he does nothing but read, reflect, and consider big ideas. These are not signs of laziness. They're examples of intentional time use that leads to breakthroughs. It's a conscious rejection of the busy trap in favor of focused, meaningful work. Breaking free from the busy trap starts with awareness. We need to ask ourselves hard questions. Are we filling time or creating value? Are we chasing productivity or just avoiding stillness? Are we working with intention or simply reacting to the chaos around us? Once we recognize that busyness is not a virtue, we open the door to a better way of working and living. So if busyness isn't the answer, what is? Number 2, productivity or activity. In a world that constantly demands our attention, it's easy to confuse being busy with being productive, but the two are not the same. Just because you're moving doesn't mean you're making progress. Productivity is about effectiveness, getting the right things done, not just effort or motion. Activity, on the other hand, can be mindless, reactive, and often unproductive. You can spend hours tweaking a presentation, replying to dozens of emails, or organizing your desk and still end the day without having made any real progress on what matters. This is where the trap of fake work comes into play. Tasks that make us feel productive but produce little to no real value. Fake work is subtle and seductive. It masquerades as responsibility and commitment. Think about how often we fall into the cycle of checking our inbox every 10 minutes, thinking we're staying on top of things, or spending hours perfecting the layout of a slide deck when the message itself isn't even finalized, or constantly refining the details of a plan without ever taking action. These activities give us a dopamine hit, a sense of motion, but they rarely move the needle. Fake work thrives on the illusion of progress. We're so used to measuring input, how much time we spent, how many things we did, how exhausted we feel at the end of the day, that we forget to ask what was the output, what actually got accomplished, what value was created. This brings us to a crucial mindset shift, moving from input-based thinking to output-based thinking. Instead of asking, how long did I work today? Start asking, what did I accomplish today that truly mattered? Input is about time and effort. Output is about results and impact. The most successful people in the world aren't the ones who do the most. They're the ones who do what matters most. They've learned to filter their actions through a lens of value. Is this task aligned with my goals? Will it contribute to meaningful outcomes? If not, it's noise, no matter how impressive it looks on a calendar or to-do list. Many of us fall victim to time wasters in disguise. Over-checking emails is one of the biggest culprits. Unless you work in a real-time communication environment, emails rarely need to be answered immediately. Constantly checking and responding to them fragments your focus and pulls you out of deep, productive work. Then there's the obsession with perfection. Spending hours tweaking a design, rewording a paragraph 5 times, or reorganizing your workspace instead of doing the core work. These behaviors feel productive because they keep us engaged and give us a sense of control. But they often stall progress. Top performers avoid these traps by embracing the principle of essentialism, the disciplined pursuit of less but better. Essentialists don't spread themselves thin across dozens of tasks. Instead, they identify the few activities that create the most value and go all in on those. Take Steve Jobs, for example. One of his biggest contributions to Apple was not just innovation, it was ruthless prioritization. He constantly trimmed down product lines, eliminated distractions, and focused the company's energy on just a handful of core projects. He understood that doing fewer things with excellence produces more impact than doing many things with mediocrity. Similarly, author Greg McKeown, who coined the term essentialism, argues that if you don't prioritize your life, someone else will. Essentialism isn't about doing less for the sake of laziness. It's about making room for what truly matters. Here's a simple but powerful exercise you can do right now. Take a moment to look back at the last 48 hours of your time. Write down how you spent your work hours in as much detail as you can remember. Then go through each activity and ask yourself, did this task directly contribute to a meaningful outcome or goal? Did it help solve a problem, move a project forward, or create real value? Be honest. You might find that a surprising portion of your time was spent in the fake work zone, busy but not productive. And that's okay. This awareness is the first step to change. Once you clearly see where your time is going, you can start cutting out the fluff and doubling down on what truly matters. Remember, productivity is not about how many hours you work. It's about what you accomplish in those hours. It's not about ticking off boxes on a to-do list. It's about making progress on what really counts. Activity can be endless. Effectiveness is selective. The difference between busy people and productive people lies in this one truth. The former focus on doing more, the latter focus on doing what matters. Number 3. How to identify high-impact work in the pursuit of real productivity. One concept stands out above the rest. Not all tasks are created equal. Some tasks are simply more powerful, more valuable, and more effective than others. These are what we call high-impact work tasks that directly move the needle in your career, your business, your creative life, or your personal goals. High-impact work doesn't mean hard work for the sake of exhaustion. It's the kind of effort that creates real results. It drives progress, builds momentum, and opens new doors. It's the difference between rearranging papers on your desk and writing the proposal that lands a new client. The key is learning how to identify and prioritize these tasks so that your time, energy, and focus are directed where they matter most. A powerful way to understand this concept is through the 80-20th rule, also known as the Pareto principle. It states that 80% of your outcomes come from just 20% of your efforts. That means only a small fraction of what you do each day is actually responsible for the majority of your progress. The rest, it's noise. This principle isn't just a theory, it's observable in business, health, relationships, and nearly every area of life. A few key clients often drive most of a company's revenue. A handful of habits drive most of your physical health. A few core actions each day are what truly create movement toward your goals. So how do you find your 20%? Start by asking yourself some honest questions. What tasks actually create progress? What activities build long-term skills or value? Which efforts solve real problems or deeply serve others? If you look at your week and analyze which moments pushed you forward, whether it was publishing that blog post, closing that deal, making that difficult decision, or spending undistracted time learning a new skill, you'll likely see a pattern. These moments tend to be challenging, require focus, and sometimes even trigger resistance, but they're the work that matters. They're not about looking busy, they're about getting results. One of the simplest tools to help identify high-impact work is the concept of one big thing. This idea, popularized in productivity circles and by authors like Gary Keller in The One Thing, encourages you to ask a single powerful question every day. What's the one thing I can do today that will make everything else easier or unnecessary? It forces clarity. It strips away the noise and narrows your attention to what truly matters. When you answer that question honestly and commit to that task, you create leverage. Because that one thing, whether it's drafting a chapter of your book, recording a video, calling a key client, or tackling a difficult conversation, often creates ripple effects that elevate everything else. Top performers live by this principle. Take J.K. Rowling, for instance. While writing Harry Potter, she didn't try to balance a million distractions. She focused on writing every day, even when it meant retreating to cafes to avoid interruptions. Her one thing was the story. For Elon Musk, high-impact work often means deep problem-solving and engineering time. He's known for blocking off large chunks of his day just to work on the technical core of his companies. Artists like Pablo Picasso were prolific, not because they chased every opportunity, but because they spent most of their time in the studio doing the thing that mattered most, creating. These individuals didn't avoid other responsibilities, but they knew where their impact lived, and they structured their days around it. If you're not sure where to start, try this simple mental exercise. Imagine you only had 2 hours to work today. Just 2. No overtime, no pushing tasks to tomorrow. With that limitation, what would you choose to do? What task would be so essential that everything else could wait? This question forces prioritization. It cuts through the fluff. If answering emails or organizing your calendar doesn't make the cut, then maybe those tasks aren't as vital as you thought. This exercise is a way to reconnect with your most impactful work and make it a daily habit. High-impact work usually lives in areas that are uncomfortable, but valuable. It's often strategic, not just tactical. It might involve taking initiative, making bold decisions, or creating something new. It doesn't always offer instant gratification, but its results compound over time. And most importantly, it aligns with your bigger picture. It supports your mission, your goals, and the life you want to build. When you begin to organize your day around these types of tasks, even just one or two, you'll notice a powerful shift. You'll get more done, with less stress, and with far more meaning behind each action. So the challenge isn't just to work harder, it's to work smarter. To recognize that being active all day doesn't make you productive, and that the real game is in identifying and doing the few things that truly move your life forward. When you consistently focus on high-impact work, everything else, your results, your clarity, and your time, begins to fall into place. Number 4, time management versus energy management. For decades, we've been told that time management is the key to success. Plan your schedule, control your calendar, squeeze productivity into every hour of the day. But what if the real key isn't just how you manage your time, but how you manage your energy? The truth is, you can have a perfectly blocked out day, but if you're mentally drained or emotionally burnt out, even the best time management system won't help you perform at your best. That's why the most effective people don't just look at how they spend their hours. They focus on when and how they bring their highest energy to their most important work. The human brain isn't wired to be laser focused for 8 hours straight. Science tells us that our energy naturally fluctuates throughout the day in cycles known as ultradian rhythms. These are 90 to 120-minute windows, during which we can concentrate deeply before needing a break. After each cycle, our performance dips, and we become more susceptible to fatigue, distraction, and procrastination. Ignoring these rhythms and pushing through with caffeine and willpower leads to burnout and mediocre output. Embracing them, on the other hand, allows us to structure our work around periods of natural focus and renewal, leading to higher productivity and better results. To use this to your advantage, start by identifying your personal energy patterns, your chronotype. Are you a morning person who feels sharp and focused early in the day, or do you hit your stride in the late afternoon or evening? Everyone has different peaks and valleys in their daily rhythm, and tracking when you feel most energized, creative, or mentally alert can unlock your true productivity potential. A simple way to begin is to observe your energy over a few days. Note when you feel the most mentally clear and when you tend to hit a slump. Once you know your natural rhythm, you can begin to align the type of work you do with the energy you have. For many people, the morning is prime time for what Cal Newport calls deep work, high-focus, cognitively demanding tasks like writing, coding, problem-solving, or strategy sessions. These are the hours where the brain is fresh, distractions are minimal, and creativity flows more freely. This is the time to protect with everything you've got. Turn off notifications, find a quiet space, and go all in on the work that matters most. As the day progresses and energy begins to dip, you can shift into more administrative or logistical tasks, emails, planning, data entry, or meetings that require less intense concentration. By matching your energy to the task, you not only work smarter, you get more done in less time. Structuring your day around energy also means embracing recovery as a part of your productivity plan. That's where techniques like the Pomodoro method or 90-minute work blocks come into play. These approaches honor your attention span by creating clear sprints of focused work followed by intentional breaks. A 25-minute Pomodoro followed by a 5-minute rest is a great place to start. But some people thrive in 60 to 90-minute blocks. The key is that after each work session, you allow yourself to step away, stretch, take a short walk, or even meditate. These micro breaks aren't wasted time, they're energy renewers that help prevent mental burnout and keep you sharp throughout the day. Recovery is also about how you take care of yourself outside work. Sleep, hydration, movement, and nutrition all play a critical role in your daily energy. High performers treat their body like their most important asset because they understand that productivity is a full system experience. When you're sleep deprived, no planner or calendar system will save your focus. When your body is fueled with whole foods and water, and your mind is cared for through rest and movement, your energy naturally rises, and with it, your output improves dramatically. The best performers in every field, from athletes to entrepreneurs, understand that energy, not just time, is the currency of performance. They protect their peak hours like sacred ground and aren't afraid to rest when their body and brain demand it. Tony Schwartz, author of The Power of Full Engagement, puts it best. Managing energy, not time, is the key to high performance. It's a principle that may feel counterintuitive in a hustle-obsessed world, but it's the difference between grinding through tasks and soaring through your best work with clarity and flow. So if you've been judging your productivity solely by how many hours you've clocked in, it might be time to flip the script. Start asking not just what did I do today, but did I do the right things at the right time when I had the energy to do them well? Productivity isn't about doing more, it's about doing what matters most when you're at your best. When you align your schedule with your natural rhythm, you stop fighting yourself and start flowing with your true potential. That's where the real magic happens. Number 5. Common productivity killers to avoid, even with the best intentions. Your productivity can easily be hijacked by hidden culprits that sneak into your day under the radar. These aren't always obvious distractions. Often, they disguise themselves as necessary work or being responsible, when in reality, they slowly drain your focus and rob you of meaningful output. One of the biggest offenders is multitasking. Despite its popularity, science has repeatedly shown that the human brain isn't built for true multitasking. Instead of doing two things at once, your brain rapidly switches back and forth between tasks, each time losing a bit of momentum. This phenomenon, known as task switching, has been shown to reduce productivity by up to 40%. That's nearly half your brain power gone simply from jumping between tasks. It creates a false sense of busyness while leaving you scattered and unfulfilled. Another silent killer is the constant stream of notifications. Every ping, buzz, and pop-up steals a moment of attention and breaks your concentration. Studies show it takes an average of 23 minutes to refocus after an interruption. When your phone is lighting up every few minutes, it's no wonder your deep work never gets the attention it needs. These small interruptions create a fragmented workday that feels full, yet accomplishes very little. The antidote is simple but powerful. Reclaim your attention. Use Do Not Disturb mode. Silence notifications. Schedule time to check messages instead of reacting to them all day long. Give your mind the quiet space it needs to do its best work. Perfectionism is another productivity trap that masquerades as ambition. Striving to do your best is healthy, but when perfection becomes the standard, progress slows to a crawl. You end up over-editing, overthinking, and second-guessing every move. What could have been a completed project turns into a never-ending work in progress. This mindset not only delays results, but also exhausts your creative energy. Letting go of perfection doesn't mean settling for mediocre. It means recognizing that done often beats perfect, especially when momentum is on the line. Taking action leads to feedback and growth. Waiting for flawless only guarantees delay, poor boundaries. Also sabotage productivity. Saying yes to every request, every meeting, and every favor might feel like you're being helpful, but it quickly leads to overwhelm and burnout. When you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else, often your own priorities. This mindset shift is essential. Every yes is a no to something else. Whether you realize it or not, the most productive people aren't the ones who do everything. They're the ones who protect their time for what matters most. They learn to say no with grace and clarity, and they set expectations that support their own priorities and goals. Task switching, which often goes hand in hand with multitasking, is another enemy of efficiency. Constantly shifting from writing to answering emails to jumping on calls not only wastes time but drains mental energy. Your brain requires ramp-up time to re-enter a state of focus, and frequent switches interrupt this process. A practical solution is to batch similar tasks together. Set aside blocks of time specifically for communication, creative work, admin duties, and so on. When your brain knows what mode it's in, it performs better and stays calmer. Combined with time blocking, assigning specific hours in your day to specific types of work, you create a structure that supports deep focus and minimizes decision fatigue. Ultimately, avoiding these productivity killers is less about working harder and more about working with awareness. It's about being intentional with your time, your energy, and your attention. When you stop letting distractions, perfectionism, and overcommitment dictate your day, you create space for what actually matters. True productivity isn't about doing more, it's about doing less of the wrong things and more of the right things, with clarity and consistency. When you make these shifts, you stop being busy and start being impactful. And that's where the real transformation begins. Number 6, creating a focus-driven daily routine. If you want to stop being busy and start being productive, nothing works better than building a focus-driven daily routine. A structured day doesn't mean rigidity. It means freedom. Freedom from distraction, indecision, and wasted energy. And the good news is, it doesn't have to be complicated. The most effective routines are often the simplest, because simplicity scales and complexity fails. When you try to cram a dozen optimization hacks into your day, you create friction and mental clutter. But when you design your schedule around clarity and focus, everything flows with more ease and intention. Let's break this down into a 4-part routine you can use to anchor your day. It starts in the morning with clarity. Instead of diving straight into notifications or rushing into your task list, take the first few moments of the day to center yourself. This can be a quick journaling session, a 5-minute meditation, or simply writing down your one big thing, the single task that will have the most impact on your day if completed. That's your North Star. High performers know that starting the day with clarity prevents them from falling into reaction mode. Before the world demands your attention, claim a few moments to define your intention. As the morning unfolds, you move into your most valuable window for deep work. This is when your energy and focus are at their peak, perfect for tackling cognitively demanding tasks, like writing, problem solving, strategizing, or creating. Guard this time like your life depends on it. Block it out on your calendar. Turn off all distractions. This is the sacred zone where the real progress happens. This is also where the Pomodoro technique, or 90-minute work blocks, come in handy. Structured bursts of focus, followed by short breaks to refresh and reset your mind. Around midday, incorporate some movement. Even a short walk or stretch session can recharge your energy and prevent the afternoon slump. Movement is more than a health habit. It's a focus tool. Afternoons are perfect for lighter tasks. This is when your mental stamina starts to dip. So lean into activities that require less heavy lifting, admin work, checking emails, attending meetings, or consuming content. Some people use this time to review industry trends, take online courses, or reflect on lessons from their work. The key is not to push your brain beyond its natural limits, but to shift gears into a more sustainable pace. This gentle transition keeps your momentum going without burning out your creative fuel. Evenings are for reflection and reset. This is a powerful but often overlooked part of the routine. Take 5 to 10 minutes to look back on the day. What worked, what didn't, what needs to be carried forward. Journaling here isn't about pouring your soul onto the page. It's about checking in with yourself. This process allows you to notice patterns, recalibrate your habits, and prepare for tomorrow. Planning the next day before it begins is a powerful leverage move. It removes the guesswork and decision fatigue from your mornings and puts you in control of your time. Whether it's listing your top 3 MIT's most important tasks or just mapping out your time blocks, this simple act of preparation creates momentum before the day even starts. There are several tools that can support this kind of structure. Time blocking is one of the most powerful, literally assigning blocks of your calendar to specific types of work. Instead of reacting to your to-do list, you control when and how each item gets done. Journaling helps you reflect and clarify your intentions. Habit stacking, pairing a new habit with an existing one, makes it easier to install positive behaviors into your routine. For example, after your morning coffee, you journal for 5 minutes. After your lunch, you walk for 10. These tiny associations build into powerful routines over time. One of the best examples of this kind of intentional daily flow comes from Jack Dorsey, the co-founder of Twitter and Square. While running 2 companies simultaneously, Dorsey structured his week by theme and his days by focus. Mondays were for management, Tuesdays for product, Wednesdays for marketing, and so on. His days were time-blocked for deep work, walking meetings, and reflection. Even under intense pressure, this focus-driven approach helped him stay centered and decisive. You don't have to run a tech empire to benefit from this mindset. Whether you're a student, freelancer, parent, or entrepreneur, the same principles apply. What matters is that your routine is built around you, your energy, your values, your goals. It should serve your growth, not stress you out. Productivity isn't about squeezing more in. It's about filtering out the noise so the important things can rise to the surface. Simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. And when your routine is lean and purpose-driven, you'll be amazed at how much you can achieve, not by doing more, but by doing what matters most. So build your routine with intention. Protect your focus. Respect your energy. And remember, the most powerful routines aren't complex. They're consistent. In a world that constantly glorifies hustle and busyness, it's easy to mistake constant activity for meaningful progress. But as we've explored throughout this video, being busy is a trap. True productivity isn't about doing more. It's about doing what matters most. It's about having the clarity to know what's worth your time, the focus to give it your full attention, and the energy to follow through. The people who seem to achieve the most don't fill every hour with frantic effort. They design their days with intention. They audit their time regularly, protect their attention fiercely, and prioritize high-impact work that moves the needle forward. If you feel like your days are full, but your goals remain out of reach, maybe it's not about adding more effort, but subtracting the things that don't matter. So here's your challenge. This week, choose one thing you'll eliminate from your day, the task, habit, or distraction that drains your time, but adds little value. Then choose one thing to focus on, the task that truly matters, your one big thing for tomorrow. Drop a comment below and let me know what's the task you'll stop doing and what's your one big thing for the day ahead. Let's hold each other accountable. And remember, the goal isn't to do more, it's to do what matters most.